各位上海来宾，谢谢欢迎我来参加你们的2025年智能无人系统博士论坛。我叫魏卡尔 （Karl Weaver），我是亚太区拓展经理，美国新港科技。我将要发表的演讲名为《亚洲人工智能芯片供应链和生产式人工智能手机革命》。
然后我叫魏卡尔，魏国的魏，卡片的卡，希尔顿的尔。Karl my English name is Karl Weaver. Good afternoon. Good evening here in the Pacific Northwest. That's Seattle behind me. My name is Karl Weaver. Today's presentation will be called The AI Chip Supply Chain in Asia Pacific and the GenAI Smartphone Revolution. And basically, Newport Technologies is my public speaking entity that I use to deliver public speaking for 20 years now. Now, today's presentation will talk about AI or artificial intelligence, but what is it? 到底 AI 就是人工智能到底是什么东西啊？ Well, it's all about the algorithms, 协议, 资讯, data, and computational power. This is what artificial intelligence combines, and it's really trying to mimic human intelligence. That's all that it does. I hope to make this presentation very interesting for people to understand exactly what AI is without the hype, hysteria, or geopolitical overtones, which there are many. So I started my career in Taiwan in the 1980s in the PC era. I migrated up in year 2000 or 2003. I jumped into the mobile industry. I'm a mobile industry specialist. Now we have 2025 or 2024, 25 period. So human capital, global human capital for AI talent, 全球都有。美国关于那个就是人工智能的协议 for and large language models much more, and the R1, it uses chatbots to ask questions. And well, how do they do this? The original important question is, how did DeepSeek do this, which is compete with OpenAI and compete so successfully that it caused NVIDIA's stock to go down tremendously, and OpenAI is wondering, oh my goodness, 我的天哪，怎么办呢? Basically, these are all what we call machine processes, machine learning processes. A mixture of experts is one of the ways that they obtain this data very, very efficiently, cost effective. Chain of thought reasoning is another way, and also something called distillation. That's where we scrape the internet with LLM and model data. Now, when you scrape the internet, that means you're scraping it from everybody, including OpenAI. I believe ChatGPT did this from OpenAI, as well as many other. But also ChatGPT did something very interesting. They used synthetic data to scrape the internet, which means you take the data and you use it again and again and again, and you very narrowly specify the parameters that you want the data to be used for. But is DeepSeek a Sputnik moment? No, I think it's a very, very interesting tool. It's open source. It's for the world. People in the West are starting to use it. People in China, Tencent, Alibaba, and Baidu, they're also using it. It's very, very good. So basically, it's cheaper than the American models by maybe 1/10. And they trained this in two months. Yes, they had NVIDIA. 就是他们使用 NVIDIA 的 H800 的那个 GPU. But actually, GPUs are sold all over the world to data centers, right? And the United States has the most data centers in the world. 美国有最多的那个资讯中心呢。But China has the second most amount of data centers in the world. So you're not going to keep GPUs away from China data centers. And so it's very, very important to realize that NVIDIA probably needs to figure out a way to make their model more cost effective. Let me move forward. Again, this presentation is basically explaining without hype, hysteria, or geopolitics. So 供应链 let's look at the 人工智能芯片的供应链 right? Taiwan Semiconductor fabs almost 90% 90% of all the AI chips in the world right now at 3 nanometer. But the US produces most of the AI algorithms and the GPU innovation, which comes from NVIDIA and others. But China produces most of the data center server technology, okay, and OEM manufacturing. Sometimes that's Taiwan ODM, like Fusikang, Honghai. They farm out the manufacturing to China to manufacture, or companies like Inspur and other companies that actually make the data center servers in China. So China plays a key role in AI. The United States plays a key role in AI, and Taiwan plays a key role in AI. And also the rest of Asia. 就是整个亚洲整个全球关于我们的那个就是半导体行业这个半导体行业很复杂所以不只是这3家公司是全球是就是有包括全球的那个利益 So basically every single major country in the world is contributing to the growth of semiconductor chips. AI chips are semiconductor chips. Let me move forward. So, 这个就是提到那个半导体那个产业链就是半导体芯片产业链 And as you can see, NVIDIA is very, very powerful right now. I think they've lost a little bit, of course, after the Sputnik DeepSeek moment. But basically, you have 2 types of semiconductor companies. You've got IDCs. They've vertically integrated in chip design, fabrication, Intel, Samsung. And then you have, and of course, TSMC. But then you have fabless design houses. That's Gaotong, right? Broadcom, Qualcomm. And they all farm out to TSMC. Now, in China, they have SMIC, China Semiconductor International Corporation. And they also have Huawei, and Huawei has HiSilicon. And they are also designing the chips, and they're still SMIC manufacturers. So China's not that far behind in this whole AI chip race. But in terms of the most powerful chips, 3 nanometer, that's still mostly Taiwan. Now, let me move forward. This is the value chain, 它的就是人工智能芯片价值. So, as you can see, the AI semiconductor value chain is very, very broad, complex. You've got the design part of it, which are just designing the semiconductor chip. And that comes into basically a few companies that co-design, and then the chip designers, okay? And then you need tools. You need the IP. I used to work for ARM promoting 内置电信卡. ARM is one of the key ones, also Synopsys. And you have the EDA tools. These are tools. But then you have the second part is manufacturing. So you have all these wafer fab equipment manufacturers, mostly from the West. The most well-known for laser lithography, advanced laser lithography is ASML. But then you've got foundries, and there are really 3 major foundries. SMIC in China is a foundry, but also you've got Intel, TSMC, and Samsung. And then you've got packaging. First, the foundry produces, and then you have to do the packaging of the semiconductor chip. And then, of course, there are other semicap and equipment providers below that. But then now you've got the third side, which is the chip. So GPU and ASICs designers, that would be AMD, Intel, NVIDIA. They don't make the chips, but they design the chips. They're chip design houses. And that would actually include Apple, but at the edge. So in AI, 就是人工智能芯片，就是一些就是关于那个 data center， 一些是关于那个手机跟那个物联网模组之类的。So inference is a very, very important part that we haven't talked about, but inference is used for generative AI to create things. You create things with generative AI. You design with the AI large language models, but you create the actual product with the inference. Now, at the edge, you've got Apple. Apple makes the iPhone 16. The iPhone 16. Yes. So you've got the Apple iPhone 16, NVIDIA, Qualcomm. So let me move on. So that's at the edge. So you have AI at the edge and at the cloud. 两个地方. And this is just explaining really all over the world. 整个全球能够提供这种产业链的他们就是提供小部分. Every place provides a certain portion. China, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, even Israel, UK. So it's not one company, although Taijidian is pretty much the major manufacturer at this point in time. But of course, that won't last as they migrate to the United States, right? Every country in the world wants to manufacture semiconductor chips, but they can't. You have to have a combination of power, water, money. It's restrictive. Let me move forward. So Taiwan is the hub for semiconductor chip manufacturing in general, but also for the AI chip manufacturing. And TSMC, Taijidian, works with almost every major player, even Huawei. And there's also, it's basically they're the largest foundry. Foundry is where you manufacture the semiconductor wafer and you slice it, and then you perform the process of putting the die and using laser lithography to etch the die into the semiconductor wafer. So that's how that works. The United States controls pretty much the GPUs with NVIDIA and other companies as well. But NVIDIA is the largest. They're the largest chip vendor now by capital outlay. They're the leader in AI algorithms. The United States leads in the AI algorithms with the FANG companies, OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic. And NVIDIA designs the largest GPU. They design the best GPU. That's the H100. And now they're working on they even have a newer one. But TSMC actually makes all of these chips. Mostly TSMC makes these chips. China makes the data center servers, which is very, very important. So China is dominant in data center server technology. Alibaba, Huawei, Tanshin. These companies do the hardware, and also Inspur is another company. They do all the hardware. This is very, very important to note. Or some kind of smart meter, or even power. You need to bring AI to the edge where it's being processed in order to have the best capability for AI at the edge. You need the processor to be close to the actual activity for the inference to have a lot of value. Also, the problem is there's latency when you're bringing it down from the cloud to the device. So that's why it's better to process it at the edge. Let me move forward. So Elon is everywhere. Oh, looks like it's being recorded. Okay, great. Fantastic. Let me continue. Now, AI, okay. So this is the AI cloud and data center ecosystem. Cloud services and data centers, they really go hand, they're not the same thing, but they go hand in hand. Amazon, AWS, everybody knows, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, IBM, NVIDIA, Alibaba Cloud, Tencent has a cloud, Baidu has a cloud. So it really is United States and China, the two largest competitors for data centers in the world. And I'm sitting here in cloud capital. You see those clouds? That is Seattle. So for somebody who's never been to Seattle, that is Seattle probably in the summertime. We still have clouds. Seattle is the cloud center of the world. Not data center, but cloud center. Data center in the United States is in a place called Data Center Alley in Virginia, near Washington, D.C. Let me continue. So we have cloud AI and AI at the edge. They're very different things. With cloud AI, computation takes place in a server, and the results are sent back. Okay, slower response time, more privacy concerns. Data needs to travel a very large distance from the cloud, which is really a server, down to whatever device or wherever it's being used. Now, how does this work? How does this AI system, these AI models, 这种 AI 人工智能怎么处理啊? Well, you have to train your AI chip, your AI model. You use large language models to train the AI model. And you basically train it on data. Data 不只是有. Data is not just the new oil. I mean, data is not just the new oil. Data is the new gold. Data is the new point for everything involving the ICT industry. Because if you cannot control your data, you cannot control your destiny. As a company, as a country, data is the most important thing. It's worth more than all the gold in Fort Knox. Fort Knox 就是美国包括我们的那个金 our gold, we keep it in. Inference costs are very important for the value of the training model. If you have a good training model but your inference is poor, then that's not good. Let me move forward. Now let's talk about the other vendors. Samsung is very, very important. And also the memory. Samsung makes the memory. SK Hynix also makes memory. An AI chip needs more than just the GPU. It needs memory. It needs an MPU in some cases, and in many cases, actually. And Japan actually supplies the photoresists and the silicon wafers. So Japan is important here. South Korea is important here. And so you see, 不只是一家公司一个国家能够控制这个半导体人工智能芯片的半导体行业，不可能的事。Let me move forward. There are challenges. Of course, I think if you're in China, you know about the geopolitical challenges and the risks between the United States and China with the chip stuff. We won't talk about that. My viewpoint is that you cannot stop technology from being developed anywhere in the world. That's just 全球化. Technology flows to the place that it's most comfortable and suited to go. So there are opportunities, though, to grow technology, and especially in AI. So you have to balance competition with collaboration. All of these companies and countries must work together because China manufactures the data centers. Taiwan makes the chips. The United States controls a lot of the GPU technology. We are the world. We have to work together. That's my viewpoint. So, as I said here before, Taiwan 包括那个人工智能芯片的那个制造哈，就是 fab。美国就是提供 AI 那个协议哈，然后中国提供那个所有的那个资讯中心的那个伺服器的技术。We have to work together. That's all I'll say. There's a problem. Getting the environmental costs to generate even one query using ChatGPT or even DeepSeek. Just one ChatGPT query can consume 50 to 90% more electricity than a Google search. Hey, 搞什么飞机啊？我们现在在关于那个 AI 人工智能芯片人工智能 but we're forgetting about the environment. The whole world is forgetting about the environment, which is very, very important. I believe China is doing a very positive thing, bring AI to the edge, and that's why many of these good companies have done that. Now, let's look at chatbots. There are a bunch of chatbots. You've got Perplexity, you've got ChatGPT, Gemini, Anthropic Cloud, Copilot from Microsoft, and of course, you've got DeepSeek's R1. And these ChatGPT usage is just exploding around the world. If you ask any high school or college student, do you use ChatGPT? They're going to say, of course I do. Because ChatGPT even in China, ChatGPT does so many things that everybody in the world uses it. My caution is.
Excuse me, Karl.
Yes.
Miss Karl.
Yes.
Excuse you have 1 minute. 最后1分钟。
Oh, I have only 1 minute. Okay, let me move forward then. Okay, let me move forward. So Apple and Huawei are also producing, as you see, they're also producing these GenAI smartphones. And these GenAI smartphones are exploding all over the world. I just will wrap this up by saying, why do we need GenAI? Well, it's already here. It began with simple text like predictive text. Now, real-time image recognition, powering AI chips. Here are the use cases: camera and imaging, personal assistance, security, user personalization, AI gaming. These are some of their usages. What's going to grow with GenAI? Edge computing, as I mentioned before. The user demand is going to explode, and there are going to be more affordable chips, not just NVIDIA. These are the challenges: power, energy, we talked about, privacy concerns with using everybody's data, and balancing the complexity with performance at the edge. This is just in comparison with Apple. There's the future of Gen AI, real-time AI, using AI, enhanced AI, hyper-personalization, that means agentics and agents. Health monitoring, hell yes, your smartphone is going to tell you how healthy you are, and it's going to be AI-driven with foldable devices and augmented reality. I don't know about the foldable devices. That is my public speaking presentation. It was a little long. 各位非常感谢你听到我的演讲，很感谢。如果有任何问题，你就可以查询我的 PPT 文稿，然后如果你有另外一个问题，你可以直接找我，我的电子邮件。So, does anybody have a question? I know it was very long. Does anybody have a question? 各位有没有任何问题想要问我？
好，如果大家有问题，可以跟他交流一下。如果没有问题，大家可以把他的名片拍下来，或者以后要跟他联系的话，也可以找我跟他联系一下。